What's up, Dad Bod Nation? Dad Bod Steve. We've got another great story today. This is a different one. We've got someone who goes out and helps people, who goes through alternative styles of healing, does great work, holds a lot of events up in Salt Lake County, around the Draper area, a lot of the times that I see. Someone who I met on Facebook who is always out there to help people. Let's give a welcome to Minnie Moreno. Minnie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, so again, my name is Minnie. I actually am a breathwork facilitator, working with people through breathwork, healing aspects. I'm also a Reiki master, which uses universal energy for healing, and I'm a sound practitioner, which I use various instruments for frequency and body healing. Um, I'm a mama with 3 kids, boys. Actually, funny story. So they're both actually a set of twins, both sets. And one of them, I lose a child at birth due to a rare heart defect. Um, and one of my kiddos that are now younger is autistic, and the other one has ADHD, but they're amazing kids. So basically a little backstory about me is I've always been into fitness. I also went through a lot of traumatic stuff right through high school, which I love talking about this just because of like the high school aspect of things. So I was in a domestic abusive relationship when I was a senior in high school, and I was with him for 4 years. After that, I got out of it, and I was misdiagnosed at the hospital. So I was put on a bunch of medications. Um, when I was put on all these medications, I actually ended up going through getting ECT done, which is electroconvulsive shock treatment. And when I got that, I actually felt like something activated within me. And it was mostly, I was very sensitive. I've always knew that I was sensitive to like touch. But I also, after having so much treatment and medication, it was like fighting numbness and anxiety, which I thought was anxiety. The medications that they would put me on were just very numbing, very foggy, and I just fought it a lot. I finally did not like the spiral roller coaster of being on them, so I slowly weaned myself off and got into the gym again. And fitness changed my life. Um, but shortly, I always knew something as a child that I felt something. I can't describe what it is. So about 3.5 years ago, I was on TikTok and I did a tarot reading with some girl. And because I was very unhappy in my marriage, and I was, he was going through depression, and he was just not emotionally available for me. And so I kind of needed like some direction or guidance. I didn't know what I needed, but I just got a reading. But she also picked up on that something within me I was gifted in. And I was like, I know that I could feel spirits. I just don't know how to open that up for me. So I took a 1 hour course with her, and she mentored me on to how to open up my chakras. And the chakras are that middle thing right here in the backdrop. So it's your root chakra up to the crown chakra. And when you have those balanced out, it opens up, it opens you up in ways that you can feel and even open up the portal to the other dimension and speaking to spirits and stuff like that. Well, through all of that, I went like super in within like a month, and I don't really say to get it done this quickly, but I had nothing else to do. And so I meditated through guided YouTube videos, and within a month, I opened up all my chakras and I had a spiritual awakening. From there, I kept hearing people tell me, like, do you do Reiki? And I'm like, I have no idea what that is. I'm like, what is it? And my friend told me, she's like, well, I'm actually a Reiki master and I'm having a course. I'm like, okay. So I went into it not knowing what it is, and I learned how to work with universal energy that comes from, it's a Japanese like modality that they use. And it's just really what it does is once you're attuned to Reiki, it increases your frequency in your hands so that you can, because everybody has frequency in their hands, but this just increases it more. So if your kids are sick, your pet is sick, or just really you can use it for anything, plants, people. When I first became a Reiki practitioner, I worked with horses. So I was able to start practicing on horses, and horses already hold high frequency, and they can also like match your heartbeat and stuff like that. So I started working with horses, and I don't know, my gifts started opening where I was able to feel what the horses were feeling. I could feel what they were feeling, like emotional feelings. When I would touch certain parts of their body, I could feel like some type of trauma, like hip pain, leg pain, stuff like that. So I thought that was so cool. So that my intuition started to get, increase, and just reading a lot of books when that started happening about like how to trust your intuition. It's that little voice in your head, like always trust it, because if you don't trust it, then you're blocking yourself. So from there, I went to an energy healing conference here in Sandy, Utah, and there was a free class for a breath work, for a breathwork journey. And I didn't know what it was. I just knew that people laid, they breathe, they wore headphones, and I just see them screaming and crying. So I'm like, I want to try that. Um, it was the most, I have really no words for it, but just to basically say that it, that experience changed my whole life perspective of everything. It's healed me. It's changed my life where a lot of negativity, a lot of negative people have been removed from my life. And I started connecting with people that were positive, people that were coming into my life, where, in all aspects of opportunities. Um, and the reason why I say this is because with breath work, they also use energy healing. So when someone is emotionally blocked or guarded, or they've suffered trauma, your body holds account. So if you've been through an abusive relationship or a loss of a child or sexually abused or anything, being triggered by your boss, like you hold it in because you feel like you can't speak what you want to say, you can't react the way you want to react. So through breath work, it puts you in an altered state of consciousness. You know that you're there completely. But what happens is that the body releases natural DMT within your body. What happens is there's a theory that your spinal fluid, when you're breathing, is released and it increases up to your spine, and then it mixes with your pineal gland in the brain. And once those two molecules are together, it forms and releases DMT, which is very familiar to what ayahuasca and mushrooms have. So you go into a hallucinative state. um, so a lot of memories or even things that you might have blocked as a child because it was just too traumatic may come through, but it comes through in a way that your spirit guide or the universe or the divine or God brings it into you to show you the lesson why that may have happened. And I always say you have to see the joy of the horrible stuff. So it's like going through talk therapy for years in 1 hour. You don't get triggered. You have your aha moment, and you're able to release the emotions. You're able to react the way you wanted to react. You're able to scream if you wanted to scream. A lot of it usually is there's so much energy that all you really can do is just once it builds up and you feel the energy building up within you while you're laying there, once you release and scream, then all of your bottom chakras are open, and even your throat chakra is open and it's coming out. And so a lot of people that have went through breath work with me stated that, and it's just this is like maybe just 2 sessions, is that they feel happier. They feel like they have their voice again. They're able to not allow people to walk all over them anymore because it gets to the point where you become too nice. They say that I just don't want to hurt their feelings, but I always tell them, like, well, they're hurting your feelings. So why wouldn't you be mindful of stating what you want to say, but not in a reactive way? just mindfully, say how you feel, because I feel like when people make you feel a certain way, that's, you have to hold them accountable. And again, when you are releasing so much through breath work, you're releasing what no longer serves you. You're making more space for positive to come through. And so that's why I always say it's such a huge, it's a life-changing experience, because a lot of negative situations have been removed from my life. Unfortunately, I ended up getting a divorce. But um and that took a while for that to happen, just because, like, I really fought hard and maintained to try to make it work. But it was just, we were not aligned anymore in that frequency. I when someone carries or feels like you're being dragged down and not uplifting you and allowing for you to grow, I just had to let them go. And so again, it was like I had to let go everything and anything that was negative in my life to allow things to come through in my life. Um, so that's why I am so passionate about breath work. I also I love doing breath work with my sound healing. So, like, drumming, sound bowls, all of that moves the energy out, even when you're in that altered state of consciousness, or even just doing events like sound bowl events. I do those too. And I collaborate with other women and men that do the same thing that I do. Um, and I even started doing a sisterhood circle once a month, and then during the new moon, and then a co-ed event during, usually around every full moon. Um, and honestly, I love it when men join, because their energy is so strong, and I'm like, yes, and everyone just releases more strongly, and it's just the energy in the room is just amazing. Um, but I also am a very I have a soft spot for men with their healing, because their suicide rate has increased so much within the last couple of years, and it's hard because men don't have anyone to really talk to. They have friends, but sometimes friends don't really. That's what I always hear is my friends don't understand, or if I talk to them that I want to try to do this, they laugh at me, or I don't feel supported, and so this is why I ended up doing these co-ed circles and these women's circles, because they come here with no judgment. This is a safe place. Everybody shares their story. Some people can resonate. They build their friendships this way. And the reason why I started doing that was because I felt really alone my first year of doing my stuff, my healing, and learning about the healing. That I know how it feels to feel alone. And then not to feel like I'm being judged and feel like people are calling me crazy, because I can talk to spirits, I can see them, I can move energy, I can move it out and help people. But the more that I get into it, every time I have a session, it's almost like more things come to me and activate within me as well. Um, so, yeah, I also love working with women with their sacral chakra, which is their sexuality, their sensuality, their creativity. Um, because there's a lot of women that just in this generation that they always feel like they have to be with someone, like a man. They always have to feel like, in order to feel needed or wanted, they like quickly just jump in and have sex with them or something. So I try to teach them feminine embodiment with movement and breath work, and to truly learn to love themselves completely, and to understand that sexual intimacy part is very sacred for a woman. And so, and every time that you have a partner, you're doing an energy exchange. So when you don't, or they're not with you anymore, their energy still remains with you. And sometimes that's why people can't let them go, and they can't move on. It's like a back and forth game. And it's just teaching them how to cut that energy and how to regain their energy back, um, and to truly be happy within themselves, because I was like that. I think that's probably why I could not break a lot of patterns in my life with the men that I used to date. And so, completely understanding my body and my energy and the importance of the sacral area, um, it also has assisted women with feeling comfortable within their body being with their partner because they're very, very uncomfortable being seen and truly seen. And that has to do also with sexual trauma. And so when they can fully embody themselves and opening that up, it heals a lot of their sexual trauma. As that, and even ex religions that would judge them because of the sexuality, and they would feel punished if they even thought about it. And so it's just rewiring their brain. And so that's another reason why I love working with women with that as well, because it just changes everything to fully respect themselves. Um, and what else do I do? um, that's pretty much what I do. And then just spiritual mentoring. So if someone ever feels like they have a gift or something, they want to work on it, then I work with them on that as well. Because that's something that I had to do alone. I had to teach myself how to do that. Um, and what else? Oh yeah, and I'm going to start certifying people this year. I'm actually working on a Reiki certification course that so that I can start to attune people that want to learn Reiki 1 and 2, and also become masters. That way, they can. When you become a Reiki master, it increases your frequency even more within your hands, your body, everything, and then you can also teach others as well. So that's something that I'm going to be starting this year. In March is actually my first class. And so far, that's what I do with that. And it's interesting too that I'm a permanent makeup artist. So when someone's getting their eyebrows done with me, I actually do a Reiki healing and balancing with them while they're numbing their eyebrows. So, yeah, I'm always busy doing all kinds of different things. I'm always wanting to learn more and collaborate with other people because I feel like in this industry, nobody competes with each other. They always want to help others and they always want to collaborate together and do more for others. Um, I will be speaking at the Hill Air Force Base at the end of February. I think it's the last Saturday of February, to um, veterans and active service and first responders about breathing because they're always in fight and flight. They're always seeing so much. And so hopefully, I'm going to try to work on my nonprofit licensing. I believe it's called licensing, so that I can actually do events for veterans and first responders for free. So I feel like they just need it so much. They go through so much trauma. They see so much trauma. Just like last night with the shooting that was just had happened last night. So yeah, it's just everyone. I feel like there's always healing. I'm not healed completely either. It's like once I feel like I'm healed, something else comes up. So as I'm doing my own healing process and learning still, I'm assisting others too.
And it seems like as you're going through all this stuff, one thing just leads to another, right? Like you got into one thing and then it goes to another thing and it goes to another thing. And now you're kind of just learning this like a jack of all trade kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool. And we did, to go back to some of the stuff you said, we did a sound bowl therapy at my school. The kids were kind of hesitant about it at first. And they were like, whoa, what is that? Some kids just sat there, but they listened and they were quiet. Other kids laid down, completely passed out, right? I did it with them. I laid down and I was out within about 2 minutes
Yeah.
and just fell asleep and just felt so relaxed when I came out. There is something that's really cool about all that, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, there's a lot of people who are skeptics and they'll kind of question things. I was one of those for a long time. And I've had experiences where people are like, "Oh, let me heal you," and they wave their hands around me and I'm like, "I don't feel anything," right? But energy is more than that. Because I have a friend, John Lewis, he's a personal trainer down in St. George. He does energy healing through exercise, through stretching, through even just the massage guns. What do they even call? The massage guns that they use.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he said the exact same thing. When you have stress, it's held in the body. The muscles
Hmm.
hold it, your organs hold it, your brain holds it, and everything. And he helps release that tension from people who've gone through trauma and other things like that. So it's more. There's so much to it, right? And
Hmm.
there are still things where and I'll totally be honest. I'm just like, okay, does that really work? But and I'm a very religious person, and I'm in a denomination and everything, but I still love breath work, like what you say. And I don't do it to the intensity that you do.
Yeah.
Definitely don't. Never screamed, never cried, but I use it in more of a meditation way because
Right.
meditation
Yeah.
does so many wonders with relaxing your brain, right?
Hmm.
And there's other alternative ways, because I grew up in Utah. I'm LDS, right? And people are always like, oh, just read your scriptures and pray and everything will be okay. No, that's not true. There are other things that are in this world that can help you relax, get over traumas, do things to heal, right?
Yeah.
Other than those things. And I really like a lot of learning about all these different things,
Yeah.
because all these things do help. And we connected before because my son also has autism, and we talked about that. And when you said I have to like scream and get it out, I see my son, and your son's a little more severe than my son when we had our discussions,
Hmm.
but when he gets anxious, he has to scream.
Yeah.
He goes outside and just screams, and he feels better. There is something to it, right?
Yeah.
The energies that they feel.
Yes.
So it's really cool. So going into that, sorry, I just like took a ton of your time.
No, no,
Um, Going into that, when someone comes in, how important is it for them to actually want this to actually work, or want this to help them, compared to someone who's a skeptic, right? So if someone comes in with a doubtful attitude, how much is it going to actually help them with someone who's like, I really want to learn this and actually want it to help me?
okay, so I'm gonna go back for a few things that you mentioned. So the waving of the hands are like, yeah, I'm gonna heal you, right? So with Reiki, we cannot read your energy or try to do anything without your consent. That's just ethics, right? So if someone tries to do something like that, you just tell them, I don't give you permission to do that or to read my energy or anything like that. Um, Second of all, the sound bath that you guys had. So some of them, so part of the sound bowls is people do fall asleep because it puts them in a relaxed, it relaxes their nervous system, and so they put them in a theta or data state. So it's like where the waves are like this. So when you're sleeping, they're slower. But when you're finally, and that's usually when you're like in a sound bath, is that's how we want to get you to, right? When other people are kind of like looking around, you should be closing your eyes because you want to feel what the frequency is, having you do. But something is triggering them if the sound frequency is too high. So that's why I always tell people, like, you could get, this is a safe place, no judgment. If emotions come up, it's okay to cry. If you need to, if something's making you uncomfortable, try to breathe into it and ask it what it is that is making you feel uncomfortable from the sound. Um, because it is supposed to trigger and allow healing, because that's what every bowl is for. Every bowl is the frequency of the chakras, so that's what the bowl does. um the reason why I said this when they open their eyes is because I actually facilitated at the men's correctional facility, and some of the men were a little skeptic of like and they would open their eyes and I would walk around, I'm like, close your eyes, just close your eyes. But they're very they don't trust, being in there. So they always want, I'm like, okay, I'm like, if you want to keep your eyes open, that's fine. But yeah, for that part. The other part that I was going to touch on, the autistic aspect of things. So have you heard of telepathy tapes on Spotify? Okay. Whenever you can, get a chance and listen to that. It explains the children with autism. And the reason why I bring this up is because they are people are stating, or there's a couple of things that I believe, as a spiritual mentor, that autistic people and children are going to be like the new humans on this planet eventually. They are very high in frequency, so they're very connected to the divine. And in telepathy tapes that's on Spotify, it talks about how an autistic child can actually communicate telepathically with one another, even with
I
their
have heard
parents.
that. I have heard that. Now, I haven't seen it in my son, but so I have a little group. I bought a barrel sauna, right? And we have a sauna group. We do sauna cold plunge. And another guy in my group, his son has autism. He's only 4 years old, I want to say 4 or 5 years old. So my son's 18, right? Much younger.
Yeah.
He told me about that same thing. He said, have you guys heard of this? And we actually talked about it the whole time in the sauna, how there's kids, and there's evidence of this too. There's
Hmm.
kids who can like telepathically talk to each other from one state to another.
Yes.
And it's what do they call it? It's like, he said it's like an, I don't want to say another dimension, but they actually are able to communicate to each other in a different kind of mindset, right?
It's like a different
And
realm. Yes. Yeah.
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 And yeah, so he told me about that, which is really cool. And so you're not the first one to tell me, but I believe it in a way because they call it sensory processing disorder, right? But we've also kind of said, I don't know if it's much of a disorder as it is their body is more sensitive to the energy stuff around them, right?
Yeah, I call
And
it more of a
so
gift, because yeah, with my son, like when I was going through like my divorce, even though I wasn't like emotional or anything, like he could feel my energy. So when he would feel my energy, he would act out more. He'll be his sensory would be like more stimulated. He'd be severely overstimulated, and I didn't know what was wrong. And finally, so I actually have these tuning forks that you can put on the body. So I started to practice these little tuning forks to put the vibration at the back of his spine, from the top of the spine to the bottom of the spine. And this actually was calming down his overstimulation one morning before school. And within 10 minutes, he completely just was like, calm down. Because I believe that my frequency and like my energy was just, I was overstimulated mentally, emotionally, and he might have been picking that up. Because they also talk about how children can feel and can telepathically like communicate with their mom and their parents basically. Um, and they do feel everything with us. Like I can't hide it from him at all. And it's very interesting. And there's been times where, because I am so connected this way, I could feel or know what is wrong with him because he's nonverbal. And so I'm like, I think it's this, I think it's that, and it just happens to be that that's what it was. And so I know, and that's what they talk about in the telepathy tapes, is how a nonverbal child would be with their mom, and they would be in two separate rooms, and she would go to him and say, "Hey, do you want to come watch this movie with me?" He's like, "No, I already seen it." And she's like, "Well, how did you see it?" He's like, "Well, this is what happened." He's like, "How did you know that?" He's like, "Because you were watching it. I could see what you're watching." And she's like, "What?" So they had to test that theory. And these people came and they literally tested, like, I'm going to give her a number and she's going to write this number here or whatever, a pen, and write it. And they literally protected her, different room, everything. She wrote it down. They came back to him and said, "Okay, what number did she write?" And he would write it down, or he would say it on his iPad. And it was the exact, and they kept doing it over and over, or even words, stuff like that. And he would write it, and the word and the number would be right on his iPad. And they're just like, wow. And this was tested with multiple children in their homes, in each little like episode of the telepathy tapes. So it's very interesting. I always say that they are able to, they do communicate like in a different frequency, maybe in a different dimension. Um, because that's how I feel with like past loved ones. Like we're in this 3D world, but their dimension is like in a different dimension, and that's why they can sometimes communicate with us, like flickering lights or playing with the ceiling light, or I don't know, sending us a sign like a butterfly or something. And it's because they can hear us. They're always around us, but we just can't see them. And some of us can feel them. And so that's why I always tell people, like, when people pass away, don't be sad. I'm like, they're still here. They're just in a different dimension. Their soul, everybody just comes in a body with a soul, and then when they leave, it just leaves their body and it goes to a different dimension. So that's just how I feel about that. What else did you need to ask me? I forgot. Like, did I cover it all?
So the main question was, what if someone comes to you, let's say someone comes and does your breath work,
Oh,
right?
that's right.
And they are skeptical, like the willingness of someone else, how much does that play in a key role? Because really, I feel like when it comes to things like this, you have to allow your body to go through the process, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
someone fights it, it's not going to work for them, right? And there's times where people are like, "Hey, meditate with me with this way," and didn't work for me, right?
yeah.
But there's other things that did work for me. So it was probably me being a skeptic on what they were doing and me actually fighting back and kind of resisting that. So how important is that for someone to actually accept it and be willing to be open for those?
Well, I feel like you have to be somewhat open, and not have any expectations. I always tell people when they come and lay down because they just want to try it, or they came with a friend, I said, just, there's no expectations. Maybe just set an intention, but don't expect anything. Don't ask why it feels this way or anything. Just when you're breathing, just allow yourself to continue the breathing. And honestly, I always say, if you're resisting it, it's because you don't trust yourself. I tell these people all the time, like especially the control freak ones and like the emotionally guarded ones. Um, when they say that it's okay for me to touch and do Reiki, when they're breathing and I can see them resisting, all I have to do is put my hand on their chest and something just like opens them up. It's like, phew. And I'm like, what are you resisting? Why are you holding yourself back? So it's like I'm guiding them through it. And then finally, when they either scream or something happens through the journey. You know, sometimes I don't get people, men or women, that cry and they don't scream, but they definitely say, I definitely feel it through my body. Their hands start to like go like this. When their hands start to clam up like this and they're locked and they can't move their hands the whole time, that means their heart is blocked. And they're blocking themselves from so much control that they're not allowing themselves to surrender. And so when I see this during breath work, I work on them more and I will go in their ear and I will guide them through things that I may pick up, um and hear, like I'll hear like a word, right? Like resentment or deceit or grieve or something like that. And I said, and I'll say like, why are you holding on to resentment? Why are you so angry? What made you what's holding you back that you can't let go of that resentment? And then I'll start to hear, like, see them more, like, get a little bit more resistant because it's starting to build up and they're trying to like not show it. But then eventually they're like, they'll just break down. Like one of the songs that I'll play, like, will just break them down. So it's really just having them come, try it out, and they will experience something. It doesn't matter. The breath will say it all. I always tell people, like, all you got to do is breathe. You're going to go through a journey that your breath is going to just, is a teacher. Um, Same thing with sound baths. I mean, I feel like sound baths, they're just more calming than anything. And so if they don't feel anything, you're not really supposed to feel anything. It's just that your body will connect subconsciously with the brain with a frequency. But mostly with breath work, there's just no way of resisting it. The more that you breathe, either your hands are gonna tingle, your body starts to like feel vibrational. There's definitely things that are gonna pop up in your brain, and definitely it also like integrates for 72 hours. So even if you don't do something during the session, you're definitely gonna feel it the rest of the day in your body, and you're definitely either gonna get in your head and you're going to release emotionally, or energy is going to move out of your body within the next 72 hours. I always tell people, like, continue to move because, like you said, being active and moving, like he does stuff with that. I say that's like somatic work. That's what I do with feminine embodiment. I have them dance blindfolded and doing breathing, like slow breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and that connects them and it allows them to feel more, because when you blindfold yourself, your senses activate more. And so that's why I love the feminine embodiment movement. But you don't always have to be a woman, men can do it too, because it happens. I've seen it with breathwork too. Like, men have been wanting to do push-ups during a breathwork, women do yoga during a breathwork because they're trying to move the energy out. I remember when I just went through a breakup this summer. I was literally like felt fine, but I was doing like the hip thrusting with the weights and stuff, and women hold anger and just like releasing like some type of grief in their hips. So when I was doing the hip thrust with weights at the gym, I just broke down crying. I'm like, what in the world was that? My friend just came and held me. She's also a Reiki master and she was just helping me pull out. And I'm like, I cannot believe I just started crying at the gym. That's never happened to me. She's like, that's what happens when you move them hips. You hold on so much emotion. I was like, my goodness. I'm like, I knew that, but during breath work, but not during the gym. Um, but yeah, I've also seen people running, doing breath work while they're running, and that's why when they're running and people get emotional, they're like, yeah, I've actually been emotional when I go for a run. I'm like, that's because you're moving your body, you're breathing in through your nose, out through the mouth, or you're going, that's breath work. And so you're putting your body in a sympathetic state where you're making go into flight and flight. And so that's why I'm like, that's why you got emotional during your run. And they're like, that's so interesting. So yeah, I love teaching about breath work because you can do breath so many different ways, even breath work journeys. There's variety of different ways to do it because some people can't do the intense holotropic breathing through the mouth. Like if you have like a pacemaker or seizures, like epilepsy, severe asthma, high blood pressure that's not controlled, like you're not supposed to do this type of breath work for the intense healing stuff. But they can do a different breath work where they could breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. It's even safe for pregnant women because circular breathing that way is actually good for birth too. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
So you said you also work a lot with the prisons and you work with people who've gone through a lot of trauma, right? A lot of the people I podcast with, usually they turn to drugs to deal with the trauma, right? So when it comes to like the recovery community, have you worked with a lot of people who are still kind of going through that and work with them? Because I see a lot of them, a lot of people say, I got out because I found God, or I became more spiritual of some sort. You know, no specific denomination, no specific religion, no specific like beliefs, but they say I found God, I found spirituality. How have you seen that? Because a lot of the people who I am friends with on Facebook now and on social media are going through recovery or have been through
Yeah.
recovery. How have you seen it benefit people who've gone through that and
Yeah.
how it's changed their life?
So yeah, so it's very interesting because when let's see, about last year, I ended up getting a lot of like a group of women that actually came to one of my events for breathwork. And what happens with this is that most people, this is just from what I know, they go through drug addiction because they're trying to like numb a pain, a trauma, something. And so with breath work, and I also have to be very careful because sometimes I can get those people that want to come like every week and they're just, and that's an addiction right there too. So I have to also be very mindful of knowing their past because if they want to always get that high from the breath work, then I have to kind of like, okay, we're going to take this down to 2 times or even a monthly thing because it is a very healing aspect of breathwork with the recovery community. Or if you're going through trying to get sober, because it's all behavior. So if you can't like really see and get through your trauma, then I feel like you're never going to really fully recover. And something might trigger you or something, and then you're going to fall back again. But I feel like with the breath work, it's all about going through the motions of maybe every breath work, something's going to happen, something's going to come through for some type of healing. And as long as you continue to go through that, um, and see, like, gosh, this is why I went through this, and you see the good part of it, right? It's like you're gaining wisdom and courage instead of feeling like the victim every time, and I don't want to like say anything bad about like talk therapy, but I've been in talk therapy before I started doing all of this, and I feel like I always felt like I was triggered and I was crying right after. It was like feelings coming up again, but it's triggering. Where breath work, it's like it comes up, but you have your aha moment. You have like, and then you also, it almost feels like you feel so much love, like God's love, universal love. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's just like, this is why, right? And like when I lost my daughter when she was a baby, I always question like, why? Why would God do this to me? Why would this and that, right? But 16 years later, through a breathwork journey, I thought I already had grieved her, and it was still there. I finally grieved her through a breathwork journey, with the way that I needed to grieve her, and she came into my breathwork, and I was, even though I don't see her as a baby. I seen her more of like a 13, 14-year old, but she was in my breathwork journey, and so I was able to grieve her the way that I needed to. And ever since then, she's always been with me, even now, helping me on my bad days, on my good days. She still comes into my mind. And I always say, like, she's like my little angel all the time. And so now I've learned, like, okay, there was a purpose why she was here in my belly for so long, but this is her purpose now. Like, she is my little guide, my angel. um, and that's how I took it when I went through that breathwork journey. Same thing with, recovery. You're going to have your reasons and your aha moments during a breathwork journey. And so I still have friends that are in recovery, and this is almost like you said, like once you do one thing, it leads to another. So they're doing breath work, and now they're going to cold plunge and sauna meditations, and it's like it keeps them aligned to stay positive, and to, like, as long as you're doing those practices and learning from the whys behind it, it keeps you, I guess, in a good way, in a good path. um but I always say, like, with recovery, it's always about accountability, like, just, looking at, and just manning up to your faults, and then just learning from it. And so that's what I love to talk about. And that's one thing with my breathwork classes, and my circles. We always share. It's always an open room for sharing what their experience was like. And I always like to have people share if they want to. They don't have to. But just listening to other people's stories, like, eventually they will open up in my third or fourth class, and they will share. And they just resonates with so many other people. They're like, yeah, that's how I felt, or I've been there. So I feel like this is it's such a good thing to do this with recovery. I feel like it, especially with sound baths and yoga and breath work, it's just super aligning, and it's definitely helped me a lot, for sure, especially with my kids.
No, that is awesome. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And especially, and you're probably just like my wife. You would do anything to find something that would help your son with autism, right? My wife has gone through so many searches, and the problem is marketers and companies know that they can take advantage of people who have kids on the spectrum because they're so desperate, right? They'll jack up prices, they'll rip them off. Like, it's
Mhm.
bad. I mean, for a while there, my wife was looking at the juicing cleanse things that people are saying, oh yeah, pay me this much money and I'll give you something that healed my son from autism. No, it didn't. It didn't heal your son from autism. You're just trying to make a buck off people.
Yeah,
Can cleansing help? Yes. And you shared with me the toxic, or not the toxic, the metal detox, right?
yeah,
That you used, and we actually ordered it, and we're going to be using that with my son, and I'm doing it with him, so he's not alone.
oh
And
yeah,
so, yeah, I'm going to help him do it. And um, with all that, it's just we're all looking for a solution of everything, right? And we've got to find it. And
yeah,
for some people it's one thing, for other people it's another thing. So I encourage everyone, like, who's watching today, if you're interested in it, reach out to Minnie. She's on Facebook, she's on Instagram. I've never found you on TikTok, but I guarantee you're on TikTok. What's
I
your
am on
handle on
TikTok
TikTok?
for sure. Yeah,
What's your handle on TikTok so they can
yeah,
find you?
it's divine intuition healing.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
And then check her out. But I guarantee you, I mean, she posts a lot of the things that she does, and she has a lot of events too that you can check out. I always see them. I can just never go to them because
yeah,
she's far away, and it's usually at a time I'm at work. But check it out. Reach out to her and ask her questions. And if it's something that that you're even interested in, try it. Right? I mean, that's the best thing that you can tell people. Right? Is try
yeah.
it once at
Yeah,
least
and
and see.
there is
And
no age. There is no age limit, as long as, even if they're 8, 9, as long as they can follow the direction and be guided, like, you can do it. I actually had an 11-year-old autistic boy and their mom come see me because they were overstimulated at school, and we realized that he liked these, and he liked my sound bowls, and he liked the ocean drum, and so she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm like, "Amazon." I'm like, "Get it for him." I go, it'll calm him down before bedtime. So yeah, so we did that.
that
Um,
is awesome.
yeah, and so yeah, and when you do the cleanse too with your child, it's like any little win. Like, for my son, it was like he started, even though I can't really truly hear, like, what he's, like, the vocabulary because of his speech. He was still talking full blown sentences, and I can catch what he was trying to say. I'm like, oh my gosh, did you just ask for that? Like, what? So I'm like, that's a win. There you go. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you're not the only one who's told me about that. Multiple women that I've talked to, and it's usually mothers. Fathers don't get involved in it as much as the mothers do. But a lot of the mothers that I've talked to, where they're like, "Oh, your son has autism. My son has autism too," and then we talk about how different things have worked, and I think probably 60% of the people who've done the heavy metal detox have said wonders, right? Like, and again, it affects everyone differently. Some kids, like you said, some were nonverbal, they started talking.
hmm,
Others, it didn't talk, but their anxiety levels went down and they were able to cope better, which is what we're hoping with my son. He's fully verbal, but his OCD and his anxiety levels are just through the roof. And that's what
yeah,
my wife is doing therapy with him right now herself, been helping him a ton, but there's still that little gap where we're like, okay, something else has to change. So
yeah, yeah, for sure.
definitely has to help. Yeah.
Hmm.
So tell everyone how they can contact you if they want to get a hold of you, if have questions, and
Yeah.
some of the events that you might have that are coming up also.
Yeah, for sure. So on Facebook, you can find me under Mini, Mini, Moreno, Moreno. On Instagram, it's divine.intuition.healing.slc. And TikTok, it's just Divine Intuition Healing. Um, so as far as events, so I am actually with a new fitness tech app company called Temple. And what Temple is about is mind, body, spirit, and wealth. And then of course community. So basically, what it is, it's a fitness app where you can work out. It tracks your macros. There's going to be a devotion part that you can do meditation and breath work. And then it's also an accountability app. So you get 3 coaches, and you go to monthly banquet events, and then you also do events with us. So for example, um, this weekend we're going to be my group, my community will be doing a cold plunge and sauna at Plunge in Draper. February 1st we're going to do the same thing, and that's going to be at Cool Recovery, and those slots are still open for the February 1st event. So I have that posted on my Instagram and my TikTok. So I have them on all of my social media. So again, every new moon, you can always just check because the dates change, but every new moon I have a women's circle event where I do a little bit of breath work, we do a little bit of movement. This month we're gonna do like a vision board, but it's always gonna change. Every full moon I do a co-ed event. And it's usually during a full moon, yes. And this would actually just be a breath work journey, which is an hour. We pull a little bit of oracle cards and we journal. So that's what we do on a full moon event. But when it gets warmer, I actually have we do rooftop events for full moons. So and that's usually up in like the Bluffdale Riverton area. So we do those there. In the summer, I like doing breathwork events like Saturdays or Sundays at the park. I think it's called Hidden Valley Park in Sandy. And so I love doing it at parks. You feel grounded, you're around nature, and it's just an amazing experience there too. Um, and yeah, I mean, we're going to be doing so many events with Temple too. And so if you're interested in coming to one of our weekly huddles to kind of be around the community, even network, because they're very supportive with your businesses, then let me know, reach out to me, and I will bring you and give you the address to come to one of our weekly huddles and learn about what Temple is and how that can incorporate with your business and how we can collaborate as well. So yeah, it's fun. I love staying busy.
Yeah, definitely. You're doing a lot of stuff. And I went to the temple huddle last night with and met you. And there's like, man, I recognized probably 15 people. I'm like, oh, that person added me on Facebook like a month ago. And so I've seen a lot of the people. I think we have a lot of the same network on social media. And people were just so nice. They came up, they talked to me, they wanted to get to know me. It was a lot of fun. And then learning about the app was a lot of fun too. Being able to see that and just meeting people was the funnest part,
Yeah.
right? People
Oh yeah,
just
for sure.
genuinely asking you, what do you do? What are your likes and interests? And they looked you in the eye. That was the best part about it. People
Yeah,
didn't
right.
just ask and then look at their phone and then walk away. Like I just asked, so I got my brownie points. People actually were genuine about it, and you introduced me to a bunch of people up there
Yeah.
that were really
Yeah.
cool. So it was a cool event for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. I think I connected with a few people. I connected with a firefighter, so we talked about possibly talking about breath work and stuff like that with her. Um, yeah, I met a couple of people from different type of like businesses and things that I don't even do, but I'm like, yeah, let's work, let's collab. So I love going to the networking aspect of the temple too, because you meet business owners, executives, practitioners, coaches, healers, like anybody, and somehow or another they're gonna want to get your tags because your Facebook, Instagram, whatever, so that you guys can somehow do something together. It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was good. It was cool to get to know people. So, before we end it off, anything else you want to say to the audience about anything?
Um, no, just right now, I am taking new clients, and for one-on-ones, and I actually am looking for corporate events. So for me to do like a sound bath event or a breathwork event at corporate businesses, um, and even schools, to do those as well, like even like a little sound bath. So yeah. So if you guys are ever interested, just let me know. and contact me. My contact information is also on my cover page on Facebook. So that's how you can reach me.
And of course, we'll tag you in all this stuff too when we clip it and everything. So
Yeah.
we'll get all you on there for so perfect. So thanks so much for taking the time and kind of explaining that and going over that and how it's been helping people and how it's helped you in your life. And I appreciate your time. I know
Yeah,
we kind of put this together pretty quick. And so
I
it's
know.
really good of you to do that with me. And so I appreciate it. And I know you wanted to do it now because you're like, my January and February is going to be busy. And
Yeah.
so definitely she's doing a lot of stuff. So reach out to her if you have questions again. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.